Hey, LarkenRose here, and I'm here with my pet giant tarantula who's functioning as a microphone holder today. No, it's not real. I wanted to do a video about a strange, obnoxious tendency I see in a lot of people, including people who are voluntarists, and that is a weird hatred and resentment for something that, as is often the case with terms that leftists use a lot, doesn't mean anything and is completely arbitrary. And that is the concept of profit, as in P-R-O-F-I-T, not as in someone who tells the future. And the condemnation of profit as if, oh, you're just profit motivated. And it's kind of conceptually ridiculous because everybody does things that profit themselves. Because if you don't, you die. If you don't do something that makes it so you have like food and shelter and clothing, then you die. Now, if you get to the level where you're just barely not dying, nobody judges you for that. And if you get up to the level where you're kind of comfortable and a spoiled American, nobody even judges you for that, at least nobody in this country. But if you happen to be successful to a level that's enough past the average, a bunch of people will suddenly think that they're somehow virtuous for hating you for your success. And it's ridiculous and weird, and it's kind of the sign that somebody is a crappy person. And I see it in a lot of people, including people who call themselves voluntarists, and it's really damn weird. You see a bunch of memes like bashing the rich. Now, the irony is that almost everybody who does that is the rich compared to most of the world, because it's mostly whiny, spoiled Americans who are way better off than 1 billion people in China and 1 billion people in India and however many 100 million in Africa. But they arbitrarily decide that their luxurious, easy-ass standard of living is somehow justified and that they're decent people. But if someone is enough more successful than them, well, you must have been bad. You must have done something bad to get that money, and it's okay for me to hate you. And that is envy. And it's what the Bible refers to as coveting. And I'm not a Christian, so I'm not arguing about the scripture, but the concept of coveting is really important. It doesn't mean, oh, my neighbor has a cool house, I wish I had a cool house. That's like, there's nothing evil in that. Coveting is, my neighbor has a cool house and I hate him a little bit for him being able to enjoy something that I don't have. Coveting is a negative emotion. It isn't just, gee whiz, I hope someday I have like a car that cool or a whatever. It's based on resentment of other people's success and happiness. And it isn't just financial. Like, people can be bitter at somebody else for like, oh, you have like a healthy relationship and you get along with your family and you like, you're financially successful. And also, like whatever accomplishments you may have, whatever things in your life are a positive, other people resenting that about you makes those other people kind of crappy people. And I see a lot of that, and I even see a certain amount of that in voluntarism. It sort of leaks through into almost a subconscious level of resentment of other people's happiness and success, which is really gross. And so, for example, one thing I've seen recently, because the Jones Plantation, the movie, is just about to come out on August 5th. There's going to be an online watch party. Probably heard me talk about it before. There's a link below for people who want to sign up for the watch party. And then very shortly after that, the movie by itself will be for sale, I think for like $10 online. So that's about to happen. I've seen more than one person literally use the terms, well, yeah, you can make money to like recoup your costs of making the thing. And the implication is, but if you make more than that, you're bad. Like, don't be one of those people trying to be financially successful, because then somehow you're evil. And I think a lot of this comes from the idiotic commie mentality that has the the stupid notion that there's just a given, constant, unchanging pie of wealth. And so if somebody has a bunch, it means that they got it by taking it away from you, which is just profoundly stupid. And I mean, it's not even economics 101. It's economics 1 to look around you and go, how much of this stuff is just naturally occurring? Well, almost none of it. How much of it was made by people? In other words, it is wealth. It is stuff of value that came into existence as a result of people making it. Why did they do that? For personal profit. All of them. You look at a lamp and a wall and a building and the electricity, all of the people who worked to make that happen, they didn't do it for your benefit. They did it for personal profit, to improve their lives. Because when it comes to voluntary exchange, in a free society, we don't have anything like a free society, but in a free society, the way to enrich yourself is by enriching other people. As Walter Williams would put it, you have to create value in other people's lives by making something that they want to voluntarily pay you for if you want to get rich in a society that doesn't put up with fraud and coercion and stuff. So when people bash the rich and they don't bother to distinguish between the people who are successful by way of like government violence and coercion and corruption and all that garbage, and the people who got financially successful through voluntary means, if you condemn both of those and lump those together, your moral code is really messed up and your view of reality is skewed and twisted and kind of horrible. And so when I see people basically saying, well, it's okay if you recoup your costs, as long as you don't make anything off the movie. Why? Why would you care? Why would you perceive that as something negative? If you do, you're a crappy person. I'm just going to say it. And the same thing is true in the other direction. If you're somebody I don't know or somebody I do know, and you create something, you invent a widget, or you write a book, or you make a movie, or you just like you do yard work or construction or whatever, and you manage to make a bunch of money from willing customers voluntarily paying you, and whether you just worked really hard for a long time and, you know, built up enough to have a nice house and a nice car, or you wrote a book and millions of people wanted to buy it, and you made a bunch of money, how screwed up in the head would I have to be to resent and envy you for your success and comfort and happiness? That's just evil. That's just messed up. And yet I see a bunch of people, including a bunch of people who consider themselves anarchists and voluntarists, not even just the anarcho-commies, because of course they do it, because that entire mentality is based on envy and resentment and hatred of anyone who has, you know, a dollar more than whoever the whiny commie is. That literally is the foundation. It has nothing to do with any philosophical principles, as I've explained before. But to see that seeping into the mentality of people who aren't commies, or at least don't identify as commies, including into voluntarists, that's kind of creepy. To think that somehow, well, I'm going to not like you if you manage to be prosperous? Why? Now think of it in terms of, again, I'll use my island analogy. Let's say a bunch of us are on an island and somebody works really dang hard for days and days and days and builds a really cool shelter, and they have like a cool room and they went underground and they ran the stream over so that this really... Are you going to resent them and hate them because the result of their effort gave them something really cool that you don't have? If so, you're a crappy person. If somebody benefits from their own effort and maybe the voluntary exchange of others, because maybe they had somebody else help them work on it and they paid them with, you know, I'll catch some fish and, you know, however they got it through voluntary means, if you resent them for the nice things they have, whether it's a physical thing or a relationship or a family or whatever, or mental stability, if you resent other people for the good stuff they enjoy, you're just a crappy person. And the level of their success makes no difference to that. So if somebody tells me, somebody I don't know tells me, oh, I wrote a book and it did pretty well and I sold, 10 million copies and so now I'm a millionaire. Cool. Why would I take that as a reason to hate that person? Like, I can't even fathom having such a mindset that I'd go, well, it's okay if you recoup your costs of writing the book, but after that, now you're just greedy and mean and evil and you don't really believe in what you're doing. And that to me is the most ridiculous thing, and it's a bunch of people have thrown that crap at me, that if I really believed in what I was saying, I would never make any money off of it. Think how stupid that is. Not to mention counterproductive. Like, most people, they have jobs that it's not what they would be choosing to do if they didn't need to earn a paycheck and pay the bills. And I've done that a million times for a zillion years in all sorts of different jobs, including jobs I'd sort of liked or sort of didn't like or whatever, but I wouldn't have been doing them by choice if I wasn't getting paid. So I do that and they get paid. Okay, if you're in that situation, which is most people earning a living, and you resent somebody because they make money doing something they enjoy, you're just a jerk. The idea that they have some obligation to suffer or to not do as well as you financially, and that you should resent and hate them and play the covet game, that's just gross and ridiculous. And I know a ton of people from like dirt poor, on the brink of homelessness, or some of them like are homeless every now and then, up to people who have way more money than I do. I don't resent any of them for the good things they have in life, whether they're financial or anything else. And you're kind of a jerk if you do. And the whole resentment of profit, and it often takes the form of like, oh, that business owner, people work for him and he pays them and then he gets profits. Okay? If you think that makes him an evil oppressor, you're economically an idiot and you're a crappy person. Because you're literally resenting his success as a result of voluntary exchange. And by the way, you can complain that, well, he should be paying more. Really? Who are you employing right now? Oh, nobody? What a shock. Why is it that the whiny commies who always complain about evil corporations and businessmen exploiting the workers by not paying them some arbitrary random amount that you decided is a living wage, why do those people never employ anybody? Because they're always playing the coveting game. And again, they're always richer than most of the world, but that doesn't count. Like, nobody should cover what they have. No, they're at this magic arbitrary line where people with more than them, they should hate and resent. If somebody made a business, even if he's like sort of gruff and nasty, and he offers to employ people, and some people take that offer and say, okay, I'll do this work for you, he's not exploiting them any more than they're exploiting him. They're making use of the fact that he has a business and that he offered a thing that enriches them more than the other options they had. That's by definition what happened if they took the deal. So this weird resentment and hatred of success is just gross, and it's also massively counterproductive, not only economically, because you're basically saying, anybody who does well, let's tear them down. Well, great, you're going to have an outstanding economy if your goal is to tear down anybody who does better than you. What do you think an economy of people who are at your level or lower would look like? Well, no more cars or airlines or electricity or running water, probably. Not because you don't have those things, but because the resources required to generate those things is at a level way above yours. Nobody's making a car factory if they're at sort of, low minimum wage-ish level income. It's the evil rich who are making those things possible and accessible for the rest of us by way of voluntary trade. Now, yes, they use violence of the state all the time. Big corporations do that. That's wrong. If you're bashing that and criticizing that, by all means, if somebody got rich by way of government coercion, bash them for the coercion, not for the success. Duh. But so many people are so eager for an excuse to resent and hate other people that they're literally just waiting to hate anybody for their success. Like a bunch of people have complained at me whenever I sell anything. Like I'll do 8 billion videos and give them away for free. I give my book Kicking the Dragon. I give that away for free. All sorts of videos and talks I've done are on YouTube, literally hundreds of them that you can get for free. And the moment I charge for something, like Candles in the Dark was a seminar we did and sell to people. And, oh, you're just in it for the money. First of all, it's a stupid thing to say, given I've been doing this for 27 years and the vast majority of what I've done I've given away for free. Second of all, you talk as if there's something bad about me also benefiting from that. Like, if I create something of value, but I get something of value in return, well, then I must just be an evil, greedy, exploited. You're an idiot. If you argue that, you're just an idiot, because you have to do something to have food and shelter and clothing. Well, maybe not. Maybe you're just a freeloader off of your parents or a welfare check or something else. Somebody had to produce something and profit in order for you to have that. So to resent somebody for getting something in return is just insane. And if somebody like writes a book and sells 10 million copies, and each person decided, yeah, I'd rather have that book than $10 or, whatever the book costs. So each person benefited. They voluntarily gave their money to have that book instead. And the guy makes $1 gazillion. Why the hell do you care? Why do you think that's bad? Why do you condemn them for their success, which came as a result of giving all those people a book they wanted? Or a movie or a widget or anything else. I'm just using that as an example. But there are some people who just can't wait to be bitter and envious. And to me, the funniest thing, well, it's gross, but it's so gross that it's funny, is how often people have envied me and thrown the coveting thing at me for stuff that they just imagine that I have that I don't. Like there's a number of people, oh, I'm sure you're rich and you have your millions, so you can exploitatively charge money for I'm in debt. I've been in debt for ages. The feds robbed me blind many years ago and stuck me in a cage for a year. I've been in debt since then. It sucks. It's stressful. It's a nightmare. I hope this movie, The Jones Plantation, makes a bunch of money so that I'm out of debt and comfortable and can focus on doing the things that I feel like it's my mission to do without having to focus on making money from it. So obviously I'm an evil exploitative because I want to make money off of the movie. Yeah, I want lots and lots and lots of people to enjoy the movie and to get stuff out of it and to have it really make them think about stuff and question stuff. And if I make a few bucks from each one or $1 from each one or whatever it adds up to in the end, and that means that I end up with a pile of money as a result of giving them something of value, good. That would be awesome. I really hope that happens. And if you hope it doesn't, if you hope I don't get to see that, because then you would hate me and resent me because of financial success, you're just a crappy person. Just like I would be a crappy person if I looked at you and said, well, whatever job you do, whatever you produce, whatever you write, whatever, good for you if it gives you a roof over your head and pays your expenses. But if you profit, if you start getting ahead financially, then I'm going to decide that you're evil. That would make me a crappy person. And it's weird how many people I see in the freedom movement who have that really weird, crappy mindset and then literally resent me for things I don't even have yet. Yeah, I'd like to have $1 million or first just be out of debt. That would be nice. And I hope this movie does really well. And I hope it changes a ton of people's lives too. But the idea that I have to pick one, if you really cared, you'd give it away for free, is just so patently stupid. And it comes from the entitlement mentality. You're not entitled to the efforts of somebody else's labor. And, the commies, this is so painfully basic, I hardly even want to go over it again. The commies don't see nothing, well, we want free housing. From where? Where does it come from? People build it, right? Houses don't build themselves. People build houses. So if you want a free house, that means somebody else has to build it and not get paid for it. There's a word for somebody else should be forced to work for my benefit without getting paid. That word is slavery. Communists are pro-slavery. You can't not be when you talk about free shit. Well, the government should give everybody free this. Really? Where do they get the money? Oh, they steal it from people. Okay, so you're stealing the productive efforts of other people so you can get something for nothing. And it's this weird thing that they think that makes them caring and noble, that they think they're entitled to literally enslave other people. And at the same time, they resent people who get successful not by robbing other people, not by receiving free stolen loot, but by acquiring it through voluntary trade and getting that most horrible of things, profit. Everything you get is profit. If you work a few hours and get a few bucks, that's profit. You didn't have it, then you did have it, that's profit. And then you go and buy stuff. Yeah, you have something. Like, to resent somebody for that is just insane. And to see so many people in the freedom movement whose brains are still infected with that mentality to one degree or another. You know, not all the way to the raving commie degree in most cases. But there's a whole lot of it. And I see people mentioning, well, if it's just, yeah, if you recoup your costs on making the movie, okay, I'm okay with that. Why are you not okay with me making $1 million? What complaint would you possibly have other than you're just a resentful, covetous, envious, slimy piece of crap who hates other people's success? Guess whether that makes it more likely or less likely that you're going to ever be successful or happy when you are driven by the resentment of other people's happiness. I hope I make $50 million off of this thing, which, you know, I'm sure I'm not going to. But and Ayn Rand did a great job of pointing out how that mentality, it isn't just stupid, it's genuinely evil. To think that, because it boils down to people thinking that their lack of productivity entitles them to the fruits of other people's labor, and other people's actual productivity makes them oppressors, which is just so twisted and backwards and gross. And I mean, there's still plenty of stuff with Ayn Rand that I disagree with. She still couldn't give up her statism. She thought there could be such a thing as a good government that enforces objective laws, and, you know, that's another discussion. And I think she kind of, her view of altruism is a little bit twisted, because she doesn't get that, yeah, you can just help somebody out, and it isn't all the way altruism because you're doing it because it matches your own values and what you care about. Okay, here's a person that needs my help and I'm able to give it, so I'm going to help them and not ask anything in return. Cool, that's perfectly fine. And it's still self-driven. It's still sort of selfish to do that, in the sense that you do that because that matches your values and what you care about, and you want to see that person helped out and in a better place. That is your reward, even if they don't give you anything financial in return. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly generous. That's awesome. Ayn Rand sort of half the time seemed to even complain about that. So there's stuff with her that I could complain about, but she did a great job of demonstrating that, basically, aside from the fact that our currency is fiat, fraudulent garbage, the concept of the dollar that gets demonized all the time, if it's an actual currency, which it isn't right now, if it's an actual currency that represents wealth, it isn't like fabricated out of thin air and they're playing all sorts of slimy, fraudulent games with it, the dollar isn't evil. It's literally a representation of productivity, of creating value. And so people who resent wealth and the thing of money is the root of all evil, that's just stupid. That's just profoundly stupid. And by the way, the saying was, the love of money is the root of all evil, which is only half as stupid. If somebody's entire focus is having a pile of money and they're an obnoxious jerk to everybody else, yeah, you can be and if their goal of getting money isn't limited by don't commit force or fraud against other people, then they're a scumbag. But it isn't because they want prosperity and success, so do you. Even if to you your level of success is just like a hut somewhere to live in and, enough food and water to not die. That's still success. Like for a lot of human history, that was a level of success most people didn't have. Like lots of people have starved to death in the past before we had this technology. That's still success, but the idea that you should hate somebody else's success if you view it as a certain level above yours, that's obnoxious and it's weird and gross. And it's something that decent people need to outgrow because so many of them wear that disgusting envy as a badge of honor, as if that's virtuous for you to hate other people for having, as if coveting is a virtue. It's not. Resenting other people for having something that you don't have just makes you a jerk. Like wanting that for yourself, cool, that's fine. Oh, your house is so cool. That would be cool to have a house like that. I wish I had a house like that. Okay, nothing wrong with that. But, oh, your house is so cool and you worked really hard to get it and now I hate you a little bit because you have it. That makes you a jerk. It doesn't make them an exploiter, greedy, selfish. It just makes you a jerk. And to pretend that somebody else is selfish in the bad sense, as demonstrated by them trying to use voluntary means to get a more comfortable, easy life, but you're not selfish in the bad sense for hating them for their happiness and success, you jerk. They don't hate you as a result of, oh, you didn't manage to get as rich as them. They don't, there are rich people who despise the poor and they're scummy people too. But they're no more scummy than the poor people, poor in quotes, because in the US, there's barely anything that counts as poor compared to most of India and China and Africa. But to measure somebody's value inversely to how much they have, well, the more successful you are, the more I resent you and hate you. Just how well do you think that's going to work if you had a world full of those people? As opposed to, how cool would it be to have a world full of people which would look at their neighbors and if they had less, might help them out, but would treat them with respect and care. If they had the same thing. If they had way more, they still go, cool, good for you. Congratulations, however you got there. Maybe you were a garbage man who just worked your butt off and made tons of money and you have a nice house and you have a nice car and you retired early. Cool, good for you. Why would I hate anybody for that? Why would I hate them for their accomplishments and success? And maybe they just invented some little widget and made $50 million off of a widget. Good for them. Or they did some other thing through voluntary means and got rich. In a world of decent human beings, we would all look at the good things the other ones have. Like, oh, you have a great, romantic relationship with somebody. You have great connection with your parents. You are attractive or in good shape or financially, well off. And we would celebrate that and be happy for the other person. And it's gross how often I see the opposite, including in the freedom movement, where people just can't wait to find a reason to resent somebody else, even if they have to make up a reason. Like in my case, when people are like, I know you have millions and you're just greedy and just doing this. Meanwhile, how often do those people produce anything of value? Like, do you see anyone out there actually producing content who bothers to waste time whining about other people's success? They might criticize them if they got their finances, Biden style through corruption and government coercion. Okay, criticize that because that's violence and fraud. That's bad. The success isn't bad. The violence and fraud to get success, that's bad. But it's so, if we have a stateless society of people who don't believe in government, cool, outstanding. That erases the vast majority of injustice. But if you have a society of people who can't wait to hate other people for the good things in their lives that they, by hard work or by luck or by anything else, happen to have, who can't wait to resent each other, ew, I'm going to be off in the woods somewhere with a few people who don't think like that, with a few people who celebrate other people's accomplishments, even if it's not your own. Oh, you wrote a book, made $1 zillion. You made a movie, made $1 zillion. You worked your butt off at some menial labor thing and made a ton of money. And now you have a nice, you have your family and you have an awesome house and a car and you can retire. You retired at 50 or whatever. And celebrate that and basically be happy about other people's happiness. And politics and philosophy aside, if you are resentful and feel hatred and envy in response to other people's happiness and success, you're screwed up. And you need to straighten your own shit out if you have any prayer of ever actually being happy. And if you're in a point where you can just appreciate the success and good stuff that other people have, even if you don't, cool, you can get along with all sorts of people. You don't have to whine about them having $1 more than you do. You don't have to look down at them if they have $1 less than you. You can just be a grown-up with an actually stable mental state and a healthy view of humanity and success and prosperity. Anyway, I just thought I'd rant about that because it just keeps coming up, especially with this movie thing. And I already see people who can't wait to resent me based on either they're imagining that I'm already well off because, I have a little bit of an audience and a little bit of name recognition. Yeah, I'm still below zero in my net worth. I'm still in debt. Lots. So envying something that you just made up in your head is particularly stupid. But equally stupid is envying some future reality in which maybe I'm out of debt and have a bunch of money as a result of people wanting to pay a few bucks to watch a movie. If you resent that, ew, just stay away from me. And I think I'm to the point now where under YouTube videos, if I see people starting to whine about anybody else's success just because they don't want success to happen, and they don't want other people to be, whether it's financially comfortable or anything else, I'm just going to delete it. You can keep your commie crap to yourself. Because with or without a state, if your main mentality is driven by the hatred of other people's success, whether by luck or by hard work or any other combination, anything voluntary, if you hate people for their success, you're a slimy person. Go work on yourself. And don't say a frickin' word to me about how evil the rich are when you are driven by hatred and resentment of people who did nothing to you and committed no force or fraud against anybody else. Again, if you want to condemn actual criminals and crooks and the Bidens of the world, be my freaking guest. I'm right there bashing them because what they do is evil. But if your mentality is such that you literally hate people for being happy, you're a scummy person. Go fix yourself and don't comment under my YouTube videos until you're in a state where you can celebrate other people's achievements and good fortune and success and all that stuff. Because until then, you're just some random jerk on the internet trying to drag humanity down. And whether or not you believe in the government, that's the primary thing that society needs right now is to give up the belief in government. But after that, it would be nice to have a lot fewer obnoxious, coveting jerks in the world. So if you're one of them, maybe work on that. In the meantime, I hope my movie is going to make $1 gajillion and have a huge impact and wake people up and make them rethink things and help to nudge humanity in the direction of actual moral, peaceful coexistence. I want both of those to happen. If you think I'm evil as a result, you're just an idiot. Have a nice day.